It's fast growing. It's crowded, with more than 1.1 billion people jostling for space. And it is poor. There are more poor people in 8 states of India than in the 26 countries of sub-Saharan Africa. That's according to a study conducted by Oxford University that is being used for the United Nations Human Development Report. More than 410 million people live in poverty in the Indian states, and researchers say the intensity of the poverty in parts of India is equal to, if not worse, than in Africa. India's slums are known for its trying conditions. But the fact is, the majority of India's poor are found in the countryside. A typical farmer feeds and clothes a family of 4 on $2 a day. And the rural poor make up 75% of those who live beneath the poverty line. Why is the situation so desperate even after years of high growth? Firstly, the money is not trickling down. The top 20% of India's population has a more than 50% share of the national income, and they mainly live in the cities. Secondly, centuries-old systems of discrimination based on a caste system continue to exist. These children born in the untouchable caste are outcasts. They are considered too impure, too polluted to rank as worthy beings. Prejudice defines their lives, so does poverty. The untouchables do not own land and are often forced to work as labor for the lowest pay. The third reason keeping people in the countryside poor is weather. Rural populations primarily depend on agriculture, which is highly dependent on rain patterns. Inadequate rain and improper irrigation facilities can cause low or, in some cases, zero production of crops. And rain patterns have been increasingly affected by the effects of global climate change. So what's the way out of rural poverty? To find some answers, we journeyed to Sikkim, a landlocked Indian state nestled in the Himalayas. This place is remote. It's cold and mountainous. It does not have any airports or railways because of its rough terrain, and the nearest airport is an hour away in the state of West Bengal. Like much of India, the people here are also dependent on agriculture. Yet, while 1 in 2 people in India suffer from poverty, the number here in Sikkim drops to 1 in 5 people. While 40% of Indians are not connected to the electricity grid, 100% of Sikkim's citizens get regular electricity. And unlike many of India's cities, where begging is a common sight, in Sikkim there isn't a single beggar in sight. In many regards, Sikkim might not feel like India. But make no mistake, the Mahatma Gandhi statues lining the main street reminds visitors which country they are in. Sikkim is a deeply religious state. It is the least populated place in India and the second smallest Indian state in terms of area. But its per capita income of $560 is the highest in the Northeast and only slightly lower than the national average. Sikkim is a fine example of advancement on the path to inclusive growth. And the answer isn't oil or industry or rich resources. The solution begins in the farms.
Giving sustainable livelihood is the best way to tackle poverty in the rural areas. And sustainable livelihood can only come by the means of agriculture, horticulture, animal husbandry, village-based industries.
Mr. Sapkota is one example of how the poverty eradication policy has worked here in Sikkim. He has been working on the land all his life, and he used to grow rice.
आमदनी तो थोड़ा होता था, लेकिन कैसा आमदनी था जो चलने और चलाने के लिए थोड़ा दिक्कत वाला चलता था खेती। जैसे अब लाओ इधर लाया उधर देते देते ख़त्म होता था, तो बचाने वाला कुछ रहता नहीं था। धान उगाता था और मक्का उगाता था, और दूसरा ऐसे ही जो खेती में ड्राई खेती और पैडी फील्ड ऐसे ही उगाता था। ये वाला जैसे वेजिटेबल का खेती वो खाने के लिए थोड़ा करता था, जो बाज़ार बिक्री करने वाला ऐसा वाला खेती सब्जी का खेती करता नहीं था पहला। जब उसके बाद में जब ये टेक्नोलॉजी मशीन आया अर्थात 2001 से थोड़ा एग्रीकल्चर डिपार्टमेंट ने हम लोगों को सिक्किम का फार्मर को थोड़ा ट्रेनिंग वगैरह दिया।
Those lessons kick-started Sapkota's farming business. Instead of growing grain, Sapkota now plants different vegetables. His seed input was subsidized by the government. And now Sapkota makes 5 times more than what he used to as a rice farmer, as the vegetables fetch a higher price in the market.
देखिए अभी बच्चे लोग को पढ़ाना, अभी वही टेक्नोलॉजी से थोड़ा कॉलेज पढ़ाना, उसी से मेरे को मदद हुआ। और जो मेरा घर वो बारिश आने के उसमें घर के अंदर बारिश हो जाता था, वो अभी पक्का घर बना हुआ है, इधर प्रमाण है। ऐसे ही ज़िंदगी तो बहुत अच्छा से चल रहा है अभी।
The Sikkim government allocated 70% of the state budget for the development of rural areas, and this has had far-reaching consequences in reducing poverty. State officials visited individual farmers and taught them the latest farming technologies. They also provided free seeds, repaired irrigation systems, and built greenhouses. Helping farmers like Sapkota created a multiplier effect. Many other people in his village who were formerly unemployed also benefited.
मैं किसी को में जाने जैसा दिल करता था पहला, और अभी हमने 10 लोगों को इधर रोजी रोटी दिन में उनका दिन का रोजी रोटी का दिन का पैसा दे के 10 लोग को इधर काम में रखा हुआ हूँ। देखिए उन लोगों जितने मेरे पास अभी 10 लोग हैं, 10 लोग को पर रोज़ 100 रुपया करके मैं देता हूँ, दिन का खाना भी देता हूँ, और वो दे के उनका भी बच्चा है, बीवी है, उनको वो स्कूल ले जाना और खिलाने के लिए थोड़ा मदद हो रहा है यही खेती से।
Sapkota owns the land that he works on. So unlike many other farmers in India, he does not have to pay rent. India contains the largest number of both rural poor and landless households on the planet, and the two are related. Without ownership, the poor are often subject to exploitative tenancy contracts. Their harvest is channeled into paying for rental of land, leaving little for themselves. In the most impoverished Indian state, Bihar, 75% of the rural poor are landless. Some farmers face such desperate situations that they commit suicide. An estimated 200,000 farmers taken their own lives in India over the past 13 years, according to Indian government statistics. That is roughly 1 every 30 minutes. Sikkim is determined not to let this happen. To help the landless, it is this state's policy that each landless person is provided with half an acre of land for their needs.
We have a program called Protected Cultivation, in which almost every year we are covering 3,000 family for the last 2-3 years. And as a result, our aim is to provide all the poor families a greenhouse. And that by that greenhouse, if they are doing vegetable cultivation, they are able to earn 40,000, 50,000 per year. If we are doing floriculture, they are able to earn 1 lakh per year. So what we are doing, one is we are to giving them input material like better seeds, better manure, better greenhouses we are giving them, better technology, better training we are giving them. On the other side, they are also, farmer is also now once they start getting money, they are really taking lot of interest in the activities.
The Sikkim example demonstrates that good governance is critical to combating poverty. Corruption, on the other hand, diverts precious resources which could have gone to aid for the poor. India is plagued by graft. A report by the Washington-based non-profit Global Financial Integrity estimated India has lost more than $400 billion due to corruption, bribery and tax evasion since its independence in 1947. More recently, in 2010, over $40 billion was allegedly stolen in Uttar Pradesh alone from schemes subsidizing food and fuel for the poor. India may be experiencing stellar economic growth of 8 to 9% every year, but corruption prevents many people from benefiting from the growth. Poverty has a woman's face. 7 out of 10 of the world's poorest people are women, according to the United Nations. And the situation in India mirrors these global statistics. Women face discrimination in land rights, and most women do not own property in their own names and are denied inheritance. They form the majority of the landless poor. Working alone on small plots of land that they rent, they struggle to get by. But there is power in numbers, as these Sikkimese ladies have come to realize. They were encouraged by the local government to form a self-help group to pool resources and share in the work. And since that time, their income has tripled.
अब जुन चाहिँ ग्रुप हामीले जति अब सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप गठन गरेर चाहिँ हामीले यसरी उयो हुनु पाए कि जसरी अब एक्लै आफूले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ अब 10 दिन लाग्छ भने चाहिँ अब ग्रुपमा चाहिँ 10 दिन गर्ने काम चाहिँ एकै दिनमा गर्छ त्यसै कारणले 10 जनाले अब काम गर्दाखेरि एक दिनमा करिब अब 100 रोप्ने 100 प्लान्ट रोप्छ यसै कारणले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ अब हामी चाहिँ अब सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप गठन गरेपछि चाहिँ फाइदा छ अब सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुपमा एक्लै चाहिँ अब हामीलाई सारै पर्छ किनभने आफूलाई खर्च चाहियो त्यसमा उयो चाहियो आफू उयो गर्नु पर्यो र अन्त सेल्फ हेल्प गठन गरेर उयो गरेपछि कमाउनुको लागि चाहिँ अब हामीले सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुपमा चाहिँ धेरै नै इन्कम हुन्छ किन ग्रुप गठनमा धेरै अब सहयोग हुन्छ एकअर्का साथीभाइको.
The ladies leased the land and the state subsidized training and agricultural input in the first year. By the second year, they had become profitable. The Sikkim state also provides agricultural aid to housewives with their own family land. Smriti Prata used to plant vegetables in her garden for her own consumption. But after receiving training from the Department of Horticulture, she now plants roses, which are exported to other states in India. Today, she enjoys all the creature comforts, but it was just 3 years ago that life was a struggle.
हमारे बगल में एक दो आदमी रहता था वो गरीब किसान था उन लोगों के पास नहीं ना तो टॉयलेट था नहीं पीने का पानी वो गरीब था फिर भी वो लोग जीविका चला रहा था अपने आप कैसे सुबह खेत में जाता है काम करता है शाम को आकर खाना बनाकर बच्चे लोग को खिलाता है और उसके बाद उन लोगों का वैसे ही ज़िंदगी चल रहा था बिजली का सुविधा भी नहीं था उस वक्त.
But now, many in the village have bought televisions with their new income. 86 families like Smriti's have converted to rose farming, and it is mostly the women who receive the state-subsidized training. It has not only helped to raise household income, but marriage dynamics also becomes a little different.
सबसे पहले पैसा मैं पैसा जितना चलाऊं पति को नहीं पूछना पड़ता है पहले तो ये पैसा से ऐसा करना है वैसा करना है ऐसा होता है लेकिन अभी नहीं अभी जो करूं हमारा मर्जी है.
With its temperate weather, Sikkim is ideal for horticulture. Another industry it is well suited for is tourism. Nestled in the Himalayas, Sikkim is covered with lush green vegetation, scenic valleys, and majestic mountains. It offers respite from the intense heat in many other Indian cities. It attracts many nature lovers with its wide variety of flora and fauna. Another draw for travelers is culture and heritage. Communities, cultures, religions, and customs of different hues intermingle in Sikkim. The predominant communities are the Lepchas, Bhutias, and Nepalese. It is traditionally accepted that the Lepchas are the first settlers in Sikkim. After the Lepchas came the Bhutias from Tibet. They migrated after the 15th century and settled mainly in North Sikkim. The Nepalese came after the Bhutias. And today, the Nepalese constitute more than 80% of the total population. It was the Nepali settlers who introduced the terraced system of cultivation. With its rich natural resources and cultural diversity, Sikkim hopes that tourism will drive development. The state has declared that it wants to be the first poverty-free state in India. By 2015, Sikkim says it will deliver a job, a house, a bank account, and health insurance to its 1 million poor people. Can it be done? Well, we visited a remote village in West Sikkim, which has been receiving tourists interested in trekking. People here were all formerly living below the poverty line, but the building of a guest house has helped to change that.
हामी यहाँ चाहिँ अब के गर्दा खुसी हुन्छ भने चाहिँ पहिले अब टुरिस्टहरु आउँछ टुरिस्टहरु आएर यहाँ जुन चाहिँ अब कल्चरल डिमान्ड गर्छ हामी यहाँ ल्याएर कल्चरल शो गर्छ त्यतिबेला चाहिँ हामीलाई खुसी हुन्छ त्यहाँबाट अरु त्यो कल्चर ल्याउनेहरुलाई हामीले अब पैसाहरु पे गर्छ त्यतिबेला एकदमै कोअपरेट हुन्छ कोअपरेसन दिन्छ यो जति पनि कल्चरहरु देखि लिएर यो जति पनि गाउँको मान्छेहरु हुन्छ टुरिस्टहरु आउँदा चाहिँ एकदम कोअपरेसन हुन्छ त्यतिबेला चाहिँ हामीलाई पनि धेरै खुसी लाग्छ त्यहाँबाट आएर टुरिज्महरु आउँछ त्यतिबेला चाहिँ हामीलाई धेरै खुसी लाग्छ
The hotel was a government project, and the boys from the village have been running it since it was completed.
यहाँ 4 जना काम गर्छ हामी एउटै गाउँको र यो गाउँको नाम आन्दिनो र हाम्रो 2 जना भाइहरु चाहिँ रुम सर्भिसिङ अनि एक जना खाना पकाउँछ जो खाना चाहिँ मै पकाउँछु र एक जना चाहिँ कन्ट्रामा बस्छ
The boys get food, lodging, and $55 a month. It doesn't seem much, but it's a step up from the average agricultural worker in India who makes $2 or less a day, seasonally for back-breaking work under the sun. The annual profit of the guest house is about $1,000, and it's an example of development. A baby step at a time.
म यहाँ आउनुभन्दा पहिले चाहिँ म आमा बाउ सबै खेती गर्नुहुन्थ्यो आलुको खेतीहरु गर्नुहुन्थ्यो त्यसले म पढ्दै थिए त्यहाँबाट बादमा चाहिँ म टुरिज्ममा पुरा इन्ट्रेस्टेड थिए त्यसले गर्दा चाहिँ म अहिले चाहिँ म यहाँ टुरिज्ममा आएर म यहाँ टुरिज्म गर्दै छु नभए चाहिँ म पहिले आमाहरुसँगै नै अहिले पनि फार्मरीमै हुन्थे म खेती नै गर्दै गरेको हुन्थे हुन्छ मलाई यो टुरिज्ममा चाहिँ म पुरा खुसी लाग्छ नयाँ नयाँ मान्छेसँग चिन्न परिचय हुन्छ त्यसैले गर्दा चाहिँ म टुरिज्म चाहिँ एकदमै मलाई चाहिँ इन्ट्रेस्टेड छु पनि अब रहने पनि छु रहि पनि रहन्छु मलाई चाहिँ मजा लाग्छ यो टुरिज्म चाहिँ मेरो हबिस नै हो म टुरिज्मपट्टि चाहिँ
A few hours away, the employees at the Indian Himalayan Center for Adventure and Ecotourism are equally upbeat. They are providing leadership training to a group of students from Mumbai today. And their calendar is quite busy over the next few months as schools organize trips here to learn more about the environment and enjoy the cool weather.
अब मैं फ़ायदा के बात में बात करूँ तो इस इंस्टीट्यूट में आने से पहले ये इंस्टीट्यूट नहीं खुला होता था तो हम लोगों को क्या करना पड़ता था हम लोगों को बाहर में जाके कुछ काम करना पड़ता था हार्ड वर्क करना पड़ता था वहाँ पर जाके वहाँ पर जाके इतना हार्ड वर्क करना पड़ता था कि वहाँ पर फिर अर्निंग भी ज़्यादा नहीं होता है। हम लोग को वहाँ पर ज़्यादा काम करना है और अर्निंग कम होता था। अभी इस इंस्टीट्यूट में आकर क्या हो गया, अभी ये होता है ना अभी इस फील्ड में आ गया ना अभी, तो वो डिफरेंट टाइप का डिफरेंट पीपल से इंटरेक्शन होता है। वहाँ का वो उन लोगों के साथ हम लोगों का थोड़ा ट्रेडिशन क्या एक्सचेंज करने के लिए मिलता है। वहाँ का वो क्या क्या होता है वो सीखने को मिलता है, हम लोग शेयर कर सकते हैं ऐसे ही।
जैसे किसी को कैटरिंग मिल रहा है, किसी को गार्डनर, किसी को गार्ड मिल रहा है ना, ऐसे। और यहाँ पे दूसरे बाहर के लोग यहाँ आता है, ठीक है, आता है और यहाँ पे रहता है, तो यहाँ को लोग को ऑटोमेटिकली फ़ायदा तो होता है।
Ecotourism, with an annual growth rate of 5% worldwide, is considered the fastest growing market in the tourism industry. That's according to the World Tourism Organization. Sikkim, with its rich heritage and natural resources, believes that it is well placed to ride on this growth. Ecotourism here promotes cross-cultural exchange and teaches non-locals about the rich heritage here. It also educates visitors on the rich biodiversity to be found here, taking them on wilderness adventures to build an interest in environmental issues. Sikkim has seen an outburst of tourism projects in recent years. They range from gigantic and imposing to the exclusive and luxurious, to the plain and trite. And they are all a result of government policy. Sikkim is of the view that tourism creates opportunities for micro, small and medium-sized enterprises in which the poor can easily participate.
ये हो रहा है कि हमारे 6 लाख के ऊपर, इस बार तो 7 लाख के ऊपर टूरिस्ट आए। तब तो हमारी संभावना वही है, गाड़ी वही चल रही है, होटल चल रहे हैं, रेस्टोरेंट और विलेज टूरिज्म भी हम काफ़ी कर रहे हैं। हमारी टूरिज्म रिलेटेड सारे प्रोडक्ट्स हैं हमारे यहाँ। इको टूरिज्म है, वेलनेस टूरिज्म की भी हमारी प्रोडक्ट है, और नेचर वॉक ये सब चीज़ें होगी। फ्लावर्स है हमारे यहाँ, ऐसे 26% बायोडाइवर्सिटी है, तो 5000 के ऊपर फ्लावरिंग स्पेसीज़ है जो फ्लावर फूल देते हैं पेड़ों। और काफ़ी हमारे यहाँ जैसे रेड पांडे जैसी एनिमल्स भी है। ये सब चीज़ को देखते हुए हम टूरिज्म का सारी प्रोडक्ट हम कर सकते हैं।
The government has been enrolling hundreds of jobless young Sikkimese in tourism-related courses. This includes spa and grooming services in anticipation of a tourism boom. Never mind that it is the boys who seem to have taken more interest in the class, but state largesse can be a double-edged sword. Does Sikkim and India want a majority of people depending on the state? And are these subsidies in agriculture, tourism and education sustainable? Or will it be giving state accountants a headache in the future? People here seem optimistic. And perhaps with enough hard work and clever management, Sikkim might just become a shining example for the rest of India.